Hey Libra Ascendant, it's Nicole from Outer Inner Space, and in this video we're talking about your chart ruler and some ideas which I've received relative to timing and your authentic frequency. Because the way I see it, when you look at your natal chart, it has all these different energetic imprints from your different placements and the different aspects. They all have their own frequency, and your chart ruler, which is the ruler of your ascendant sign, because it sets up your house placements and how your natal chart is structured, when you tune into the qualities of the chart ruler, because it's like the lens through which you see the world, then you can tune into this place of equilibrium inside and find this inner harmony, and it kind of resets you and recalibrates you to what I see as a baseline frequency, so like this undertone. You can kind of think of it as like your main spirit guide, in a sense that when you converse with it and interact with the energies and embody those energies, then you can tune into more of a core vibration, and then the external stuff, like the outside influences and energies coming at you that aren't yours and don't really resonate with you, not only fall away, but they're kind of less likely to attach to you. And I also find that when you tune to these qualities, or you just have an awareness basically of your chart ruler energy, then you get this idea about timing and pacing and your cycles and just your own cadence, in a sense. So we'll be talking about a few things that you can do to tune into these qualities in this video. And just to let you know, the notes that you see in the slides on this video you can grab from my website as well. So the first thing I would say would be to look to where your natal Venus is, because with Venus as the chart ruler, these insights will give you some general ideas, but then when you add the extra level of your own natal Venus, both the sign that it's in and the house that it's in, it adds an extra level to the story. So after you've listened to this, you can take some time to digest the concepts and then extrapolate on them with the qualities of your own natal Venus, because that's also a significant indicator for you. So when I think about Venus as a chart ruler, the first things that come to mind are a sense of freedom, a sense of presence, aesthetic, comfort, and basically being in flow with the cycles of the universe. Venus being it's like a watery planet, right? And so having this kind of flow where you're not constantly, coming up against things, but really being like water and moving around things. And I know that Libra is an air sign, but the planet of Venus itself is a watery planet. So combining these things, which we'll talk about in this video, can really, just open your mind to some of the energies that you have to work with. Like I have in this little diagram here, I was drawing all the visuals of timelines that I see for all the different chart rulers. And as a Venus-ruled person, the flow and your timeline, it's really not linear, because Venus is such a creative energy. It's not just going to be getting from point A to point B. It's going to be, like going around things, moving backwards, realizing how your past experiences are influencing your present experiences, and just having this really flexible way in how you approach all things in your life can really benefit just your psyche, and it can really challenge any preconceived ideas about how you should operate or where you should be at a certain time. And with that, as a Libra Ascendant and the cardinal air aspect, this is all about initiating new thought. It's about moving on new ideas. So there is a very important degree of flexibility that's required in doing that and challenging those preconceived ideas. With the Venus energy as well, just being able to be who you are on any certain day without worrying if it's going to be accepted. Like when I think of Venus, I think of the Empress card in the tarot, and that woman, she's not concerned about where she's supposed to be by now or what she did in the past that's kind of holding her back. She's very present and she's trusting in the cycles of the universe, and it's a very organic energy. And so she kind of knows that, like, as long as she's in alignment and she's aware of her own energy and what she's outputting into the world, that as long as that's kind of in alignment and her energy has been purified in a sense, you know, like application of forgiveness to yourself for anything that you perceive wrong or injustices of other people, there's this level of forgiveness where she just realizes that's part of her journey, but she doesn't let it influence where she can go, because as a Venus ruled person, this creative energy that you have, it's unlimited, but it's only our minds and, you know, our conditioning that prevents us from going after what we want. And so it's about learning that, you know, that you can adapt any fixed mindsets and you can change the ideas like cardinal air to expand your energy field and be that creative person, not just in the sense of being an artist or, you know, creating work or anything, but it's about how you curate your life as a Venus ruled person. It's about the little details and making things more beautiful for the sake of the joy that it brings to you. So I think about freedom being a really important detail as a Venus ruled person. Like, you need to be able to move like air, like water, and, you know, not feel restricted, because if you feel restricted, you're just going to attract more experiences where you feel restricted. And so where you can, creating flexibility in your schedule, in deadlines. If you think about how in nature, when you plant a seed, it's about the conditions around that seed, which is going to determine how well it's going to blossom. So positioning yourself in environments where the energetic feedback is nourishing and it cultivates a sense of peace and equal give and take, and it doesn't feel harsh or abrasive to your energy, because that's really gonna, well, if you think about how the opposite of Libra is Aries, like butting heads is just, it's conflict that's really potentially damaging to your vibe. So it's about assessing these kinds of things and taking the time to determine if you really are getting back what is true for you, you know? And it also is about challenging those ideas of any limitations that you have picked up through conditioning or through your social groups, or, you know, going back to the Empress, like, she's just not going to put up with it. She's going to turn around and go her own way and find new friends. Do you know what I mean? So I believe that if you are centered in your own energy and you're aware of your own energy field, then you are going to attract the right people back. But that can only happen when you take the time out to sense like what vibes you are emitting. Because if there's this inner conflict within you, you know, like conflict about where you're weighing up the ideas of other people or putting too much of an emphasis on the external world and your relationships in the external world more predominant than what you truly feel, then you're just asking for more conflicting experiences. So that comes back to knowing your value and what you value, but that all happens from internal contemplation and reflection, and it takes time. Like if you were brought up in a way that your needs were suppressed or that you weren't fully able to express yourself, like expression is another big thing, then there's the likelihood that you put up with more than is fair. And when you haven't done the inner work to really see how that feels, and it comes from a place of resonance, like if you kind of feel like anxiety or confusion about how you're being received, that's kind of indicating that there's a disconnect with you of like your awareness of your own value. So it comes back to knowing yourself and knowing your energy, and you can really become more aware of what that really is by thinking about the places that are beautiful to you, thinking about the things in life that really matter to you, that are valuable to you, and doing what you can to enrich those experiences and to, have more of those experiences as well. Whether that be, going to a beautiful garden and just absorbing the beauty of nature, or any kind of place where you're just in awe of your surroundings, like that aesthetic thing, which comes with being a Venus-ruled person, then as you feed yourself that kind of thing, you kind of start to see more of the discord that happens when you are in positions where you're getting back less than you deserve, and it's easier to say no to those things. Because with Aries as your opposite sign, if you think of Aries as the individual, with Libra it's like a mirroring effect. So everything that happens in your interpersonal relationships is a mirror of what's going on within. And being cardinal air and just Libra energy in general, there is always that detail of considering the other person and making allowances for the other person. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, like that's completely beautiful. But when we're too externally focused and not giving equal time and attention to our own needs, then it just creates this discord where it's always about external validation or having other people agree with you to honor your truths, where that is only something that you can decide. And then when you are aware of your own energy field and the innate value within you, and when you are enriching your experiences and your life, and you're curating it in a way that really brings value in, and it gives you those sensations of, oh, like this feels really good to me, then you kind of fortify your energy field, and all those other ideas are kind of filtered. I heard this really beautiful thing about when we are receiving feedback from other people, to not take it to heart, we let it be on the patio. Like if you think of your heart as your home and the patio is like, or the porch rather, outside, you kind of filter it on the porch and then decide whether you're going to let that into your heart. It's that discernment thing, which is what you are excellent at, being an air sign, but it comes back again to what you value and how you value yourself to determine what you're actually going to allow in and influence your state of being, because your state of being is like this beautiful energetic being a Venus-ruled person. So just with these experiences of tending to your emotional and mental and energetic well-being, then your energy field expands and starts to sparkle and starts to be this new level of influence in the world, and people listen to you and get your ideas and appreciate your art more because it's coming from a place which isn't dependent on the feedback of others, basically. And when you do that, then you are also appreciating the authenticity, again with like Aries as the opposite sign in 7th house, then you're appreciating other people's influence, and it just becomes this really beautiful feedback loop. But it's about, doing that filtering of what you are going to take to heart. Another thing as well would be to look to where Venus is transiting in present day, because that's going to activate a certain part of your house. And like I said before, like with Venus energy, with this natural earthy energy of beauty and nature and the cycles, keep in mind where Venus is transiting, you kind of see the areas of life where you can, make these enhancements and make these aesthetic adjustments, noting that there are different times in your life to do these things, and there's a time for everything. So it's coming back to that non-linear detail where there's no rush, there's no need to get to a certain point by a certain point. It's about going with the cycles and understanding that your timing is going to be completely different to anyone else, because you're made up of a very specific and unique energetic imprint, and so is everybody else. So it's only social conditioning that has us believing that we're supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time, or looking a certain way, or expressing ourselves in a certain way. But the truth is that when we are in alignment and when we understand like how we are vibing in a really unique way, then all levels of comparison just go away, because everybody is vibing completely different, and it's just social constructs and conditioning that have us believing otherwise. And when we are trying to fit our unique energetic imprint into these constructs, that's where all the anxiety and the depression and the confusion and comparison come in, because it just doesn't work. It's not real. It's all make-believe. I think that if we all tend to our own energy and appreciate our own energy and really value what it is that we're here to do and what we have to offer and our unique imprint, and learning our natal chart is one part of that, then we create this space, because we're not so caught up in the external world, and we create this space, and all these dormant gifts inside of us have room to really flourish. And that keeps us out of, indecision and analysis paralysis, because that's kind of what's happening when we are measuring ourselves against other people or against these constructs. And if you ever do find yourself in a state of confusion or overthinking, or considering too much about what other people think, it's about noting that energy and that static vibe and coming into your own space, taking time out to be in your own energy and feeling the vibes and bringing your brain waves to a slower processing wave. So when you're overthinking or stuck in past experiences, or you're confused and kind of can't see a way out of where you are, you're in this high beta range of your mental processing, and that's the frontal lobe, which is based on past experiences and established patterns and things we've learned and experienced. It's like the storehouse of memory. In those states, there's no room for new ideas or solutions to come in. It's too quick to have anything new, so it's just going to recycle and keep going. But when we temper that energy, take a deep breath and do the long exhale, that kind of tells us that we're not in a state of danger, we're not in a compromised position, we're only perceiving that. But when we can take a deep breath and tune into our limbic brain, which is it kind of governs, the automatic processes in the body. So, our circulatory system and our respiratory system, and our central nervous system, doing things like doing deep breathing, doing breath work, yoga, meditation, or even creative work, like taking time out to do something artistic, or going for a walk along the beach and just observing nature. Being out in nature is a wonderful thing. It brings us down to the alpha waves, and when we give ourselves the space to come into those waves, then we reduce that frenetic mental processing, and we allow our subconscious or our unconscious to provide the solutions that we need, and we're open to divine inspiration there. Another thing I would suggest is to have a look at where your earth sign is. And this isn't something that's really commonly spoken about, but it's the opposite to your sun sign. So if you think about how all the planets in the solar system and in our natal chart give off this energetic frequency, the earth isn't really considered in that. I think is a really missing component in astrology. And this comes from the work of Chrissy Blaze, and I can put a link to her book below, which is all about Earth as the missing planet in astrology. And I have some information about this on my website, and I'll link that below as well. But your earth sign being the opposite to your sun sign, because the earth revolves around the sun, or the sun revolves around the earth, however you want to see it. This is kind of like the foundation of you, and when you tune into the qualities of your earth sign, you kind of create the roots to the ground. You become more connected, especially as an air sign. Like if you are too much in your head, coming back down to earth and feeling the vibration of the earth can really ground you, and again bring you back to those alpha waves, and then that can create the space and equalize your energy and purify your energy field and charge you in the same way that can release like excess static, basically, that you've picked up from other people, or that you've just got circulating in your body as well. And just speaking about that too, is I feel that the body stores a lot of our emotional stuff that we were either too young to process or that we haven't learned how to process. And so doing things like body work, massage, acupuncture, cupping, seeing a aware chiro or an osteopath, and just having the energy that's stuck in your body circulated around and purified afterwards through drinking a lot of water and basically flushing it out, it can really help with purifying the energy field. And then I find that after doing work like this, it's not really a matter of having to go back and pick apart the details of the trauma or of the pain that's stored or of the emotion that's stored. Doing stuff like body work and kind of allowing the consciousness of the body to take over can really help create space for the channels to flow. Because when you think about it from an atomic level, we're really more space than we are matter, and so moving the energy through the body creates even more space. And when we're in that place, we're operating in a more of a flow state. And as a Venus ruled person, and going back to the Empress again, being in that flow state where inspiration just floods through you and then you're inspired to create, you speak these inspired things. It's in that energy that you are the most optimum being, and that can happen so much more often than not. But it is about, determining the mindset and the mental processing that isn't really helpful, and what that is judgment and considering the opinions of others more than your own. And again, that comes back to knowing your own energy, and that only happens when we give ourselves the care and attention that we deserve and that we need. So Libra Ascendant, I'm going to leave this here. There's some more information on my website. I have a Patreon page which I do fortnightly energy healing notes, and I also have a really beautiful product called Periods, Brainwaves and Astrology. If you are a woman who menstruates and you would like to learn how to sync to your cycles, there's a link to that information below. But I hope you found some value in this, and I wish you well.